Do you remember the last lesson about hospitals? And this is how their patients feel. They slip through the fingers of the psychiatrists working there because they're terrible. Well, here we go. This is Psycho 4, where Norman recounts the tale of how he saw his mother's bosom and wanted to... God damn, Norman. We learn about a young Norman Bates and how his sick, crazy mother infected his mind. And then, through that infection, something grew. His penis. I'm done with this. I don't want to talk about him anymore. He was crazy and he wanted to have sex with his mother. God damn you, Norman. God damn you, Psycho. It's finished. And there is no remake coming. I don't care about Vince Vaughn. Ooh, Wedding Crashers. He's not even a real actor. I take it back, he's good, but I don't want to talk about him anymore. No remake.
Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike, he's Jay, this is Black Skull Dan.
Stan's brother.
It's not a racial thing, and we're talking about Psycho 4. No one cares.
Let's not talk about it.
God damn this fucking movie, man. It's a prequel. That's what it is. It's a prequel slash into current time. It's kind of cool the way they did it. But what happens is Norman calls into a call show where they're talking about matricide. It's when you murder your mother's mattresses.
Yes.
And then no, it's when a boy kills his mom. It's called matricide.
Well, sometimes you don't have the fucking memory foam.
Right. You want a new mattress, and the only way to do it is to kill the old one. But no, he calls into the show, and this fucking asshole doctor's talking about it. He's talking about matricide with this late night radio DJ, and then it's older fucking Norman. He's talking about how I might do it again, and then this radio host goes through the motions of trying to get him to stop. They're trying to keep him on the line, trying to trace the phone call. Meanwhile, he's telling the story, and they go back to these reenactments of him as a boy, all the murders that took place up until the murder that we all know of from Psycho. So it's a prequel mixed with current time, and none of it's fucking necessary.
So, the entire time...
I said, goddamn!
Yeah. It's like deep in my soul.
Baby.
You threw me off. No, the thing about this movie is, honestly, as you're just telling the synopsis and the recap, I had a mini coma.
I know, right?
It's so unnecessary. That's what I can say about this movie. Completely unnecessary. Psycho 3, it wasn't amazing at all, but it ended it in a right way that you're like, okay, this ties it up. Nice firm package. There you go.
I like nice firm
Insert
packages.
night. Yeah, this one just goes back. It's milking a little bit more from the Psycho franchise. So the thing about it is, Norman's out of the hospital again, okay? Just after Psycho 3.
Alone? How does that happen?
They don't really go into that, and he has a wife. How fucking batshit crazy panties is she to be his wife after she knows everything about him because she was the nurse at the psychiatric hospital that he was staying at? They don't really delve into that either. Now, I think that there were theories out there, somebody saying that she doctored the documents to get him released early or whatever, because I think he was going under a different name. He calls in the show as Ed or something, and then eventually he says, oh, I'm Norman. And it gets like that, but they don't really go into enough detail to let you know about that. As far as the flashback sequences go, you do get to see how fucked up his mom was and shit like that, and making him get in the bed with her with his undies on.
Let's talk about his mom.
His mom, I'd have fucked the shit out of her, but that's your mom, dude.
It's your mom, bro.
But it's your mom, but it's not my mom. So
I say dildo, never.
But I'll tell you, but it was obviously really, there was incestual stuff going in that whole thing, and I think they meant it for it to be uncomfortable, and if that was their goal, they did a perfect job, because Wowzer McWowzer.
She's a good actress.
She's a really good actress.
No, she's not at all.
I think she's pretty good actress.
Dude, she's terrible. She's awful. When the god's coming out of the thing, and she's like, give me a penis. I mean, she's just...
I liked her in It. So.
She was okay in It or whatever, but I thought she was terrible in this fucking movie. But then again, you're right. She is hot. So as if you were watching this, it was like the director had some sick fantasy, because Norman says on the phone, and I got a feeling that was Perkins talking beforehand saying, I don't want this to be an incestual thing, but they made it one. He says on the line, he's like, if you're thinking this, doctor, it's not an incestual situation. But then they have moments where Norman goes in there and he's wet from the rain, and she's like, come under the covers with mother. And she's like, no, leave your clothes off and hold me. And he's holding her, and he gets a fucking boner, and he gets up and he has to run away, and he covers it up, and she's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm sorry.
And he had no choice. I mean, it's not like he was wearing boxers or anything. He was wearing tighty whities, so his shit was sticking straight out.
And they were wet too.
Yeah, and there's even another scene where they're he's rubbing oil on her legs and going up, and she's moaning sexually, and then she starts rolling on the ground with him, and he looks at her, and at first I thought they were gonna make out because he's looking at you like, oh, fuck.
It's gross,
and
but
then
it's
she's
provocative,
like,
man.
But then she's like, "You dirty animal, is that a dick?" And he's like, "Yes, it is. I have a heart on." And and then she makes him dress up. But she is abusive. She is mentally tormenting him. And but I guess this has been hinted at since Psycho 2, maybe, that there was some kind of incestual thing going on.
And you can't help but be intrigued by it. When I say it's provocative, I don't mean it's like, what? But I mean, when you're watching that, you're like, you can't help but be like, oh my god, he's about to fuck his mom. Like, or she wants it. Does she want it? I don't even know. I don't know what's happening here. It's so confusing.
Kind of like Two Girls in One Cup. When you see that title, you're like, I wonder.
But it's the same thing that happened with the show. I never finished the show. I'm like 2 seasons in. I liked it. I just never got around to finishing it. But there's a lot with Vera Farmiga, and if she's your mom, what are you going to do? But there's a lot of sexual stuff there, too.
She's your mom, dude.
Well, I mean, if she's your mom, but as the viewer, she's not our mom. So we're like, man, if I was in that...
This tells a lot about us. It's like the psychiatric...
If I woke up, here's a question.
Okay.
Here's a question for you. And this is the question of the day. If you woke up from a coma, and whoever the hottest girl in your whole world is, like,
whatever.
who's the hottest girl on planet Earth to you?
I'm gonna say Kate Upton.
Kate Upton. Okay, I'm gonna say I could probably find something better. I'm just gonna say for video's sake, I'm gonna say Kate Beckinsale. If I woke up from a fucking coma, and Kate Beckinsale was half naked on top of me going, "Are you okay, Norman?" and like rubbing me around and stuff like that. But then a doctor walks in the room and he says, "That's your mom!" But it doesn't feel like your mom.
But if it is your mom.
But it is your mom.
I mean, okay, so you can help if your dick gets hard.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know.
But then I don't know.
I don't know.
We're talking
You
about
gotta say no.
incest.
You gotta say no, right?
Yeah.
You gotta say no.
Yeah, you gotta say no. You gotta be like, you actually made me have a boner, and now I gotta go rake the leaves.
Yeah, you have to say no. No matter what, you have to say no.
But it was weird, and it was kind of gross, and if their whole idea was to make it disturbing and kind of uncomfortable, they do a really good job in this.
I know.
I did. I know that they say, I think I read somewhere that they said the Bates Motel explores this a lot more. I never watched the Bates Motel, I'm sorry. I never got a chance to watch it, even though the Norman mom in that one is way hotter. But they go into more detail, but they did a good job of making it very uncomfortable for the viewer to watch. And you do explore what made Norman break and his psychiatric problems that he's been going through all of his life because of his fucking crazy mom. And I think they do a good enough job to show how crazy she was.
That boyfriend was the worst.
The boyfriend was a terrible actor. Like, I don't think it was just that he was the worst. I thought it was funny that, after they fucked the first time, the boyfriend and Norman's mom, he comes in the next morning after Norman's going to school, and, he's like, wearing his dad's robe. He's like, "You take that robe off right now." And he's like, he was getting ready to do it, and he was like, "Hey, man, listen. To be naked in front of a girl, you only do that when you're getting ready to have sex with her. Otherwise, it's disrespectful." Like, it's just, and he's trying, like, to be this...
asshole.
But it wasn't just that. Yeah, he was trying to be the asshole, but it was also, like, the writers were trying to force this idea that he was just a prick.
Oh, man, and then the scene where he goes out with the boxing gloves, right? He gets these old school fucking boxing gloves, and he brings Norman out, and he's like, and dude, this guy's so Magoo, man. The whole movie, he's like, "Okay, Norman, why don't you try to hit me?" And he's got the gloves on, he's like, "Ha, ha, ha, ha," and he's hitting him, and he's hitting him, and he's hitting him. He's like, "We're on the grass, so that when you deck me, it won't hurt as bad." Like, he's the worst actor ever, but he is a big dick, and it achieves its goal in making you fucking hate him and making you hate the mom so fucking much because they're such douches. He walks in there, they get done banging, and loudly, I might add.
Yeah.
They are banging loudly, and she's like, "Where's that goddamn boy with that sweet tea?" And he comes upstairs with the tea, and she's laying on the bed with a sweaty dude, and it probably smells like sex in there and drugs. And then I don't know about drugs. When I have sex, it smells like drugs. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know why. Hookers. But no, he walks in there. She's like, "Not a word about my new kimono." He's like, I forgot what he said. He was like, "It's ravishing" or whatever. And they're like making fun of him. And then like at that point, he's like, "Fuck this shit." He finally fucking poisons him, and you get to see the actual scene where it all fucking started. And it's a pretty decent scene, I might say so myself.
I think that, until the fact that they haven't died yet after 18 fucking times.
They're
like,
still
holy shit. Like,
yeah.
the guy is like, the
continues.
boyfriend is dying of poison, and then he's alive again when he throws him down the steps. Then he's alive again. It's like, all right, now you're milking the shit out of it. They're dead. I mean, come on, let them be dead. I do enjoy the movie as far as it does show. It goes back in time, and it shows how he led up to Psycho, how Norman Bates is Norman Bates. Which is cool to see, I guess. But I mean, again, this movie is completely unnecessary. I didn't need all this to know Norman Bates is fucking crazy and was in love with his mother. I mean, this is obviously what was wrong with him.
And I think here's a question though. Another question of the day for you guys: is it scarier, like kind of what Rob Zombie did with Michael Myers? Is it scary to not know exactly how it took place when you're watching Psycho,
No, I would say,
or does it take away from the actual fear of the original Psycho when you don't have that visual to put it with?
I'm not being a nut writer on John Carpenter, but I will say John Carpenter had it right when he says that he had a problem with Rob Zombie is because you understand Michael Myers more. Being the idea that Michael Myers in his version, John Carpenter's, is just a suburban kid for no reason just fucking snaps and starts killing everybody. That's scarier than having an understanding like, oh well, he was abused and this happened and this happened. So in the same vein, it's cool to go back and look at like Norman Bates' early years. But it's not. It's just unnecessary. Like,
it takes away from the mystique
and another
aura.
Thing, the first girl that he kills that he talks about, she was hot by the way, the little blonde girl. And it takes like
she has some ugly boobies though.
She does, but it's placed in the 50s.
Those look like flapjacks.
But she's talking like a 1987 fucking slut. It does look like flapjacks.
They look like flapjacks.
Yeah.
They look like someone stepped on them.
But it just that whole character didn't even make sense as far as like she's supposed to be the 50s, and I know that. Not all girls were like, you know, prim and proper, but she's really throwing slut magic out. like the version of an 88 or 89.
She did the equivalent of showing up like, it's time to fuck Norman.
That's all it was.
She wanted it bad. And he wanted to give it to her, but he just didn't know how.
And the guy that played young Norman did a good job. I don't think there was anything wrong with him. I think he's alright.
And ironically, dude, he looks exactly at moments like the young Norman who does such a good job in the show that they cast as young Norman. So that.
But what would you want? I mean, the one thing I wanted to see in this, like I didn't get a chance. I wanted to see how Norman like went to school and interacted, like his like normal high school kind of thing, like his high school angst. And, you know, because the girl at the beginning, you know, his first victim tells him, "You're always you're so quiet, you're so obviously he's getting." I mean, I'll tell you what, Norman, you're a fucking pussy magnet. Like, good for you. I mean,
he's the show too, man. I mean, he gets it, and they don't even feel the need to explain that in the movie. They're just like, he just goes, "I can't even remember how I ended up in that older lady's car."
Not just that, the older lady was hot. Yeah. The fucking blonde young girl was hot. The girl that was like, that guy was like, "My toilet's backed up, bitch. Come here and plunge it." The other one was like this. I'm like, dude, you are a magnet of pussy.
Our girls, I gotta ask you, for the girls who watch the channel, I'm just throwing out questions.
That's two of them.
Do you guys like that fucking like that young? I don't even say young, but that stupid, not stupid, but that smart quietness, that timidness, that like I know a lot, but I'm not gonna say anything because I might be boning my mother later in the parlor. I mean, do you like that sort of weird, quiet but smart thing? Is that what it is? I think because there's girls are naturally attracted to Norman throughout the whole series and the show.
It is true, the quiet guy for maybe, but I mean, but the way you said boning your mother in the parlor later, I don't know.
Not that part. Yeah,
I don't know if that's
that was
like
a joke.
Oh yeah, but they might.
I like guys who bone their mothers in the parlor.
So am I like going after that incestual dude? Maybe.
But at the end of the day, guys, there's some good acting. This Anthony Perkins is still good.
Yeah, he's great.
Even if he is even mailing in a little bit, and the kid's good for what he needs to be good for. But then again, nobody's as good as Anthony Perkins in that role. So you're still like, you're not Anthony Perkins. Why don't you go eat a dick?
Again, though, this movie overall is just unnecessary.
It's unnecessary,
it really
even if it's done with craftsmanship,
craft cheese,
like, you know, workhorse type mentality. They pumped out this movie and they gave it a good purpose or whatever. But as it goes on, it makes no sense that he's out again. It makes no sense that he's married. And even when he's trying to kill his wife, she's like, she's still okay with it. She's like, Norman, it's not you anymore. I want to have a baby. Which, by the way, it is a dickish thing of her. He said, I might still be a serial killer. I don't want fucking kids. And then she tricked him. She doesn't deserve to get murdered, but that's still a bitchy thing to do.
It's a shitty thing to do for sure. But I mean, at the same time, it's definitely not getting your vagina stabbed over. And here's the other thing about that. The whole idea behind Norman Bates saying that genetics was the cause and he wants to kill the little monster in her womb and shit. It's cool, but at the same time, I kind of think that they could have left that whole part out. Like, I don't think that it needed to have, especially the end. Okay, so at the end of this movie, you know, you had Norman Bates confronting all the demons of his past, which was just kind of corny in and of itself. Yeah. When he sets the house on fire, and at this point, like, this is where the movie for me just goes completely off fucking kilter, because from Psycho 1 to Psycho 3, you did every once in a while feel bad for Norman because Norman wanted to be left alone in Psycho 2 and things like that. In Psycho 3, he was pretty much a slasher. Like, he just, in this one, it's like they made him a whole victim now. Like, at the end, you're like, yeah, go Norman, go, like, you know, when confront your demons, fucking burn it down, bro. Like, you're just like, you're really, I was like, it's just not cool. It's like, it takes away from the horror aspect of what Norman Bates was, and now you're just like feeling sorry for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
totally agree.
I didn't like that. And then with the screen cutting to black, and then you hear the baby cry. But before that, you hear Norman Bates' mother with the rocking chair rocking by itself, and like, let me out of here, Norman.
Like more sequels, guys?
Yeah, it's
you
like
want more?
And I think that it was nice that Anthony Perkins came back to do this TV movie, because that's what it was. It was a TV movie. It was nice that he came back, but letting it end like that with just the rocking chair going like a ghost is rocking in it was fucking dumb.
Should have ended with 1. Definitely should have ended after 3.
3, definitely.
I give this one a 4.5.
I'm giving it like a 4.5 too. I don't, it's not, here's the thing. If you watch Psycho, you can watch Psycho, Psycho 2, and Psycho 3, and you'd be perfectly okay with that. Like, or perfectly, like as far as like understanding the whole Psycho legacy, no problems.
Yeah.
If you want to go back and see Anthony Perkins one more time in a great role that he was iconic for, definitely go check out Psycho 4. But as far as it needing to be part of the canon, it doesn't need to be part of the canon.
It's more of an expansion pack than a movie, you know? And so that's our ratings, guys. You have the question of the days. Until next time, I love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in you. Okay?
Put her down, Norman.
The blood, mother. Oh, God. The blood.